Right, so we move on to our item 9 and 10, which are brief. So it's the reports pending, just letting you know in relation to recommendations that have been passed where we're at, so you can track things. I'll move that. Councillor Darby will second that. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. And the information memos, if someone would just like to, thank you, Councillor Clove, move that we receive that. If there's a seconder, Councillor Darby. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. I hope people are finding this useful. It's just like a quick reference to say, we talked about X, Y, Z at the meeting 3 months ago. Where has it got to? You can have a quick look and see it's still being processed, progressed, and will come up. So hopefully that's a useful thing to do. Item 11 is plan change 123. Again, we need to, it's gone through the process, and Councillor Darby will move its approval. Councillor Webster will second. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. So we move on to our first grunty item, which is Auckland's Industrial South. And I just, while our staff come up to the table, I just actually want to acknowledge the work that's gone into this and the huge amount of consultation. It's really good to have the endorsement by the whole clutch of local boards of the South who are endorsing this, and also looking at the long list of iwi consulted as part of this. I think, I'm not too sure, Member Taipiri or Member Ngamini might comment, but I think that's kind of what we've been asking for in our Māori impact statement, is saying when we talk about iwi consulted, who are we talking about? And I think that's a really useful thing to actually have it laid out like that. Okay, right.
Thank you, Chair. For yourself, I'd like to ask that we take the report as read. I do, however, have a short summary presentation, so if you want me to take you through that,
That'd be great.
I'm more than happy to do so.
Thank you.
Just letting them upload it. So the Integrated Business Precinct Plan is essentially a framework to coordinate our activities in our industrial areas, so the light industrial areas and heavy industrial areas that are zoned as such in the proposed Auckland Unitary Plan. But in essence, why do we actually need to have an integrated business precinct plan? I think if we look at the zoned industrial areas south of central Auckland, we can see that it comprises approximately 4,044 hectares, or 50% of the industrial land in the Auckland region. And it employs 150,000 people in 2012, and it's seen employment grow by 27% since 2002. The zoned industrial locations in the Integrated Business Precinct Plan area generated an estimated $18 billion of GDP for Auckland in 2012. In addition to this, the Auckland Plan anticipates that an additional 276,000 jobs will be needed in Auckland by 2041, and 25% of these jobs are predicted to be accommodated in South Auckland. A substantial share of these jobs will be located in the industrial areas located south of central Auckland. With increasing pressures for alternative land uses in and around some of the industrial locations within the IBPP area, there is a need to develop an integrated plan to support the industrial sector in South Auckland and ensure that the economy continues to provide a range of employment choices for the region's residents. The objectives of the Integrated Business Precinct Plan are to provide a coordinated framework to ensure the southern industrial locations continue to play a strong role in the region's economy, assist in growing and developing the zoned light and heavy industrial locations in a coordinated manner, establish a vision for the industrial south in order to support the Mayor's vision for Auckland as the world's most livable city, and identify high-level actions to support the delivery of the vision. Quickly, in terms of the process that the Integrated Business Precinct Plan has gone through in order to get to you today, there was a period of research and analysis on our industrial areas to identify the economic data to support the plan. A short period of informal consultation with businesses in the area to help frame the key issues that we needed to focus on. Then the draft was prepared, and a targeted engagement was held to businesses in the integrated business plan area and also iwi as well. And then we're now at the process of formally adopting the integrated business precinct plan. Throughout the process, local boards have been engaged. A separate working group was set up with local boards to ensure that the business precinct plan was able to respond to local board plans and was relevant to them. And in addition to this, a presentation was given to the Auckland, the Economic Development Committee prior to the targeted consultation taking place. So in summary, the key issues for the Industrial South are highlighted there. The first one being business growth and employment. Obviously, we want to encourage business growth in our industrial locations and support that and encourage jobs to be generated. Infrastructure, and that excludes transport in this point, and this is more about that supporting infrastructure for businesses, so things like ultra-fast broadband, reliable power supply, and things like that. Those are the issues that businesses have raised for us. The transport infrastructure, ensuring that we can move goods and people to the employment locations, and public transport is an important element of that. Skills and training, ensuring that we are providing the people with the right jobs and skills to access jobs in our industrial locations, and that's important when we think about the fact that the area that we're looking at is within the I've forgotten the name of it now. Sorry, the Southern Initiative. The availability of land and heavy and light industrial, and the quality of the business environment. And that's the quality of the business environment is important because it's actually providing space for people to take their lunch and have access to those things adjoining our industrial areas. So it's not necessarily in our industrial areas, it's adjoining them so that they have access to recreation and supporting cafes and things like that. The integrated business plan incorporates a spatial strategy, and this is highlighted here. It comprises 3 broad areas: a mature industrial zone, which is highlighted in blue, and that incorporates our oldest industrial areas. An industrial expansion zone, which is the orangey red colour there, which incorporates Auckland International Airport, the airport corridor or Ascot Park, East Tamaki and Wiri. And this is where we've seen significant growth in employment in the recent years, as more industrial land has been supplied both at the airport and in East Tamaki at Highbrook. And there's still, within our zoned industrial areas, capacity for more industrial land to come forward. And then the last area, which is the green area, which incorporates Takanini, Papakura, Pukekohe, Glenbrook and Waiuku. And this is where we have much less activity at the moment, but we do have zoned industrial lands here. And these areas will be principally the future industrial supply of Auckland. So in summary, the high-level actions are there. There's 10 high-level actions, and these are supported by a number of detailed actions which are set out in the draft plan attached to the report. The detailed actions will be the actions that form the implementation plan for the integrated business precinct plan, and those will be the key activities that we'll be looking to monitor as we go forward.
Right, I'm sure some of our southern councillors would like to speak. Councillor Filipaina.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations on the consultation that's taken place not only with EMA, Auckland Airport, Chambers of Commerce, but also with our mana whenua. What I do like around the precinct plan and the strategy is the vision, through you, Chair. The vision incorporates, for me, local workforce and transport. As a result of the targeted rate levy, we've got 2 bus interchanges, one in Otahuhu and the other one in Manukau, that is going to assist in regards to getting local people into jobs in their local area. So around that, congratulations. And I think one of the key things for me, Chair, especially with the Auckland Airport, is continued work still around employment and employing. Airport are still going through the consultative process around increasing the employment opportunities in the airport and for our areas. And I know that both myself and Councillor and I, every time they've had a consultative meeting around the opportunities, both of us have been at the meetings in town. So congratulations again. And I just look forward to what comes out of this whole thing, especially within the local board that both Arthur and I incorporate. I have no doubt that the other southern councillors that bring in Pukikohi, Papakura, Takanini and all the rest may have something to say, but from the chair of the Southern Initiative Steering Group, thank you.
Thanks, Al. I've got Councillor Quacks, Member Taipiri, and Councillor and I. Councillor Quacks.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Look, I just want to ask a question around the coordination between this item and the next item, because I think that's very important. Because when I look at the next item, the future urban land supply, I notice that, of course, a lot of that is based in both the north and the northwest, and while there's a large area in the south, with all the industrial land, commercial land, basically pushing south, further and further south, I think, over the period of time. Are we well enough coordinated between where people will live and where the work will be?
Good question.
I think in terms of where our industrial growth has occurred, it's occurred at the key transport nodes. So access to the airport, access to the inland ports. We've got two inland ports in the southern area. So we've got the inland port at Church Nelson Street and also Wiri Inland Port, and that's where the rail infrastructure is also established. So the market has really driven where our industrial locations are. And I think in terms of the next item, what we've tried to do with the integrated business precinct plan is work with the team producing the future land supply strategy, so that this, it doesn't go over any ground that the future land supply is, and that's one of the actions within the integrated business precinct plan. What we're trying to do is get better coordination between how we look at our industrial locations and then influence future discussions within this. So that's what we're trying to do from the southern industrial area perspective.
So you're confident that there is no disconnect where these employment areas are going to be and where people or where the future urban area is?
Well, I think there's significant growth proposed within South Auckland as well, in terms of potential land available for residential development. We've got a significant population here that has the ability to access employment within here. Where people are currently travelling from and to within the industrial zone to these employment areas, there is movement from north to south, and that has an impact. But that's, I think, due to historical circumstances rather than anything more. And what we have to do now is think about how we work within that context.
Thanks, Councillor Quacks.
Kia ora, Madam Chair. Through you, just want to say yes, I do agree about the Māori impact statement, recognising the iwi and identifying them for councillors to know who the iwi are in the Auckland region. I'm sure that's a help to them. What I do not see, though, is, in one sense, talking to them, but what did they say? And what's the information that can be provided back to council for them to understand what the feedback is from those consultative hui. So I think halfway there, recognised who's there, but I have no idea from reading the impact statement what they said, how you took that on board, and I note in the paragraph it says actions to partner with iwi have been incorporated, but I could only see really about the environmental sustainable business. So I'm very keen to know what else is in there. So that's that level in dealing with mana whenua. The other question, Madam Chair, is in the context of the Independent Māori Statutory Board and legislative obligations the council has. What process did you undertake other than taking a paragraph out of the schedule of issues of significance and provide that document to the board, particularly the Secretariat, so that feedback could be provided as required by law? So, Madam Chair, I just wanted to say that there's those two levels to that. One, acknowledging mana whenua and the role they play and what actually came of that. And secondly, the Independent Māori Statutory Board and the processes that council are required to include.
So in terms of engagement with the Māori Statutory Board, following the Economic Development Committee, I met with representatives from the Māori Statutory Board to highlight the fact that we're going to go through consultation and how best to engage Māori as part of that process. We had a discussion around how do we access Māori businesses, noting the fact that there's no database that exists that identifies Māori businesses within Auckland, so there's no sort of representative group that we can go to ask their views. So we agreed a process of working with ATEED and other people within council to see if we could identify key representatives for Māori businesses. We did manage to contact the Māori Allied Industries Association. So that was one representative group that we were able to contact and did consult with as part of that process. So in response to the issues that were raised at that meeting with the representatives of the Māori Statutory Board, that's the process that we went through.
So, Madam Chair, just so I'm clear that the law requires the board's involvement in the design and execution of plans and strategies and the like. So I don't think we got that. But I will say, Madam Chair, what I think is very helpful is the recognition of the schedule of issues of significance, which is a statutory document that provides advice to council, being aligned next to the other planning documents within this report. So I want to compliment that, but I think we need to get a bit clearer about the responsibilities that council have to the Independent Māori Statutory Board in the design and executions of policies, plans and strategies and otherwise. True. And as I say, we look forward to the advice that's been obtained from mana whenua in order to populate this document, which I have to say is somewhat shallow.